What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me.
One royal visit to Italy just exposed the difference between Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Meghan Markle in a way the internet could not stop talking about. While crowds packed the streets of Reggio Emilia to see Catherine in person, Meghan faced a wave of online mockery after a promotional video for her lifestyle brand instantly became meme material. The contrast was impossible to miss. One woman was being honored by an Italian city after years of carefully building public trust. The other was once again battling criticism over image, branding, and authenticity. So why did this particular week spark such an intense reaction online? And what did it reveal about how both women are now viewed on the world stage? Join us as we break down the week that changed the conversation around Catherine and Meghan, and the meltdown that followed. What Catherine did in Italy was not a royal engagement. When Catherine traveled to the small northern Italian city on her first official overseas trip since completing cancer treatment, she went alone. There was William beside her to hold her hands. Interestingly, there was also no senior royal in attendance to share the attention, or to lean on if the crowds were thin or the reception was merely polite. Just her team, and a city that had no obligation to give her anything. What Reggio Emilia gave her instead was something money cannot buy, and PR teams cannot engineer. As CNN reported from the ground, Catherine was given a warm welcome and awarded the Primo Tricolore, the city's highest honor, at the town hall, while chants of "Kate, Kate" rang out from the crowd during her walkabout. The Primo Tricolore is not a courtesy award handed to visiting dignitaries as a matter of protocol. The city gave it to Catherine not because she is a princess, but because she had chosen their city for a reason that had nothing to do with tourism or image. And everyone could feel that. Reports from inside the visit confirmed that at the Loris Malaguzzi International Center, she met educators who explained the Reggio Emilia approach, which emphasizes children's relationships and learning through play, and tried out her Italian with the children, telling staff afterward, "I have learnt so much. It has been really inspiring." What nobody had known until this trip, or at least what had never been given much attention in years of coverage about Catherine, was that she had actually lived in Florence during a gap year before university. She had absorbed real Italian then, and it had stayed with her. So when she knelt beside the children of Reggio Emilia and spoke to them in their own language, she wasn't performing a multilingual princess moment for the cameras, she was just talking to children in the language she knew they understood. According to the ground-captured coverage of the event, the children didn't wait to be guided toward her. They ran at full speed with their arms out, like she was someone they already knew. But it wasn't only the children that were happy to see her.
The Princess of Wales has taken a major step towards returning to royal life, marking her first overseas trip since her cancer diagnosis. Princess Kate using the occasion to champion a cause close to her heart.
More than 1,000 people had turned out on Wednesday alone for her appearance in the town square. A level of attention that made the trip a display of genuine pulling power rather than manufactured pageantry. One woman had traveled from Rome specifically to see her. Remember when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle went on a 4-day visit to Australia? They were expecting something similar in warmth, like the kind of reception that Catherine received. What that got was far from that. Although the trip attracted attention, it lacked the excitement and public enthusiasm that a royal visit should have generated. Royal commentator Jane Moore strongly criticized the couple for continuing to use their royal titles after stepping away from official duties. Writing for The Sun, she accused them of milking their Duke and Duchess titles while acting like unofficial royals abroad. Jane also referenced Queen Elizabeth II's decision that Harry and Meghan could not remain half-in, half-out members of the royal family after leaving royal life for America. She argued that, years later, the couple are still profiting from their royal status without restrictions. Royal commentator Hugo Vickers, who has spent decades observing royal tours and knows the difference between manufactured pageantry and genuine purpose, called it a perfect tour, a fact-finding mission done with incredible dignity and purpose, and with Absolutely nothing about it which looked like a staged setup thing like we've seen with certain other people. He was diplomatic. Nobody watching was unclear about who he meant. And the contrast in the way both Catherine and Meghan are perceived by the public was noted. Paolo Rosato of the local Italian paper Tu Resto del Carlino told reporters that Catherine is very popular here in Italy and that Italians see echoes of Diana in her. They see Kate as a story that follows Diana, he said. That last comparison carries the most weight. Diana's hold on the public imagination was not built on strategy or image management. It was built on the specific quality of her attention when she was with people and her kind heart. They could see the same characteristics in Catherine too, and Italy proved it on a world stage. While all of that was unfolding in Reggio Emilia, back in Montecito, California, Meghan Markle was having the worst week of her public life, and Catherine hadn't done a single thing to cause it. So what exactly was Meghan doing while Catherine was being celebrated across northern Italy? The video that launched 1,000 memes. On May 11, 2026, while Catherine was still in Italy being cheered through the streets, Meghan chose that same period to post a new promotional video for her As Ever lifestyle brand. The timing was either spectacularly unfortunate or spectacularly unaware. Either way, the internet's verdict was immediate and merciless. As AOL's entertainment team reported, the video featured Meghan cycling through multiple wardrobe changes in what appeared to be a single promotional shoot, dressed in the white evening gown she had worn to the 2024 ESPY Awards. Then a pale blue sweater set with crisp white pants picking flowers from a garden. Then a black blouse and jeans perched on a kitchen countertop. Then wide-legged jeans with her hair pinned up, before finally emerging from a closet with her hair down, clutching a jar of fruit spread and gazing at it wistfully. There were multiple outfits and multiple looks in just one video, but there was almost no product. People were quick to react, and the backlash was swift. The commenting section of the video was filled with criticism that Meghan definitely wouldn't have expected. One user commented that Meghan Markle's new acting reel just dropped. Another added, "She's such a terrible actress. She can't even portray herself convincingly." Someone asked simply, "Is she trying to sell jam or herself?" The answer, based on the video's commercial impact, appeared to be neither very successful. But that was just a tip of the iceberg as different sites began to compile and roll out the broader social media response. "This is hideous, beyond cringy, tacky, self-centered, awkward, and horrible," wrote one critic. "Her products are still crap, her outfits are bland, and her expressions are fake and pretentious," wrote another. The comment section, which is rarely a reliable guide to anything, was in this case capturing something real. A gap between how Meghan presents herself and how the audience receives that presentation. A gap that has been widening, not narrowing, for several years. The commercial reality underneath the video makes the optics worse. As it has been reported on the brand's strategic situation, Netflix had already ended its As Ever partnership by March 2026, returning leftover inventory to Meghan. The video was a soft relaunch attempt for a brand operating without its most significant distribution and production partner. The Royal News Network's detailed analysis of As Ever's metrics identified the core structural problem. Meghan has tied the brand so completely to herself that it cannot exist without her. Every post on the brand's Instagram duplicates what appears on her personal account. There is nothing holding it together except her personal celebrity, and that celebrity, in the American market she needs to crack, is not translating into the kind of loyal consumer base that generates the revenue the couple needs to sustain their Montecito life. One candle from the range arrived without a wick. The orange marmalade had already become a running joke, and now the promotional video was trending for all the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, in Italy, Catherine was making pasta with her sleeves rolled up. The contrast wrote its own caption. But then Saturday Night Live got involved. And that is when things went from bad to genuinely alarming. Meghan reportedly blacklisted an entire network. On May 2, 2026, during the Weekend Update segment of Saturday Night Live, Host Colin Jost was riffing on King Charles's official state visit to the United States. He delivered the punchline. King Charles had come to America to seek the release of a British hostage being held by an American terrorist, as a photo of Meghan and Prince Harry flashed on screen. The audience laughed. The show moved on, and Colin went to the next joke. SNL has made jokes about every sitting American president since Gerald Ford. They mock prime ministers, A-list celebrities, foreign leaders, cultural figures, with complete impartiality and zero mercy. The Meghan joke was not exceptional by any SNL standard. It was a 3-second punchline in a segment that airs twice a week. According to Rob Shooter's Naughty But Nice Substack, which broke the story, Meghan was not mildly irritated. She was furious. Sources told Shooter that NBC had been placed on her permanent blacklist immediately, that Meghan does not laugh when she feels publicly humiliated, and that she sees this as deliberate, cheap, and personal, and once she feels mocked, she shuts the door. AOL's follow-up on the blacklist story confirmed the pattern by connecting it to prior behavior. This is what Meghan does. When she feels attacked, she doesn't confront, she cuts off access. She distanced herself from Vanity Fair after coverage turned, and now NBC is getting the same treatment. Vanity Fair had run a scathing 2025 exposé, and access was cut immediately after. The list of media relationships severed in response to negative coverage is long enough that insiders apparently describe the behavior openly. The Royal Observer's speaking on the NBC situation revealed something important. This is not the first time SNL has mocked the Sussexes. In May 2025, Colin had made another crack during a segment on the US-UK trade deal. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two, with Harry and Meghan's photo appearing on screen. That joke did not apparently trigger the same nuclear response. Something about being labeled an American terrorist, even in a comedy context that clearly applies the term to Meghan as the person holding Harry hostage, landed differently. The NBC decision is strategically reckless in a way that goes beyond hurt feelings. The joke also aired as reports emerged of Meghan being snubbed from the 2026 Met Gala, reinforcing existing narratives about how far Hollywood's door has remained closed to the couple. NBC is not a small magazine that can be frozen out without consequences. It is one of the largest broadcasting networks in America, and the timing of burning NBC is particularly poor given what has happened to Meghan's other media relationships. Her most reliable American ally has historically been CBS. The Oprah interview aired there. Gayle King anchors CBS Mornings and remains close to Meghan, and CBS has been the consistent safe harbor. But that harbor is shifting. New ownership came in. Stephen Colbert, who had been openly supportive of Harry and Meghan in a way that generated friendly coverage, departed. The news division now has leadership whose politics sit far from Meghan's brand. If she has effectively burned NBC and CBS is no longer what it was, where does that leave her media strategy? The answer to that question becomes considerably more urgent when you understand what is happening with the money. The $6 million floor and the deals that were supposed to cover it. The financial architecture of Harry and Meghan's Montecito life is one of those situations where the numbers are so large that the difficulty of meeting them is initially hard to relate to, until you understand what those numbers are actually paying for. Sources close to the couple have confirmed to multiple outlets that the baseline cost of their Montecito existence, not lifestyle upgrades, not charitable giving, just operational costs, runs to a minimum of $6 million per year. $3 million of that goes directly to private security for the family, including Archie and Lilibet. The rest covers mortgage payments on a $15 million property and household maintenance at their chosen level. The security costs alone represent an enormous fixed overhead that has to be covered before a single discretionary dollar is spent. $6 million a year, just to stand still. The deals that were supposed to generate that number have, serially and for different reasons, not delivered what was needed. It has also been confirmed that the Netflix partnership ended after the show dropped out entirely the next week from the viewing charts, and the podcast cratered into oblivion within the first weeks of its initial 8-week planned release. The Spotify deal is long gone. The Girl Scout movie has not created momentum. As The Blast documented in its reporting on As Ever's production secrecy, even those involved in making the jam were reportedly required to sign strict non-disclosure agreements, a detail that raised further questions about a brand whose founder was simultaneously posting its entire origin story on Instagram. Here is the particular irony that is almost too pointed to be coincidental. One of the central stated reasons Harry and Meghan left the royal family was that they did not want King Charles controlling their finances. They wanted independence. They went out and got the large deals, announced to the world that they were going to prove it could be done differently, and invited the world to watch. They currently need $6 million a year just to stand still. The independence they chose has produced a financial pressure that the royal institutional structure they left would never have imposed on them. The money that was supposed to flow from the deals has not flowed in the way the plan required, and every commercial move they make now, the As Ever video, the vow renewal, the essays in political magazines, carries a financial urgency underneath the public positioning that the audience can sense, even if it cannot name. But the most uncomfortable chapter of all is not about money. It is about the one cause that was supposed to sit above all of this. So what chapter is this? Let's get into it. What is happening to Invictus cannot be blamed on the media. The Invictus Games was always the argument that cut through everything else. Whatever position you took on the royal exit, the Oprah interview, the memoir, the podcasts, Invictus was different. Founded to support wounded military veterans through competitive sport, coming from a genuine place, carrying real moral weight, nobody could argue otherwise, which is exactly what makes the current situation so painful. Boeing has pulled out of Invictus 2027. Not renegotiated, ended a contract that will not be renewed. The Australian government withdrew nearly £5 million in funding following Harry and Meghan's trip there. The organization declared bankruptcy in 2023, a fact that received far less attention than it deserved. The UK government has committed £26 million of public money to keep the Games operational. It was reported on the Boeing departure and the pattern of sponsor exits as part of a broader picture of an organization that has struggled to maintain the institutional credibility its cause deserves. Tom Bauer alleged in his book Betrayal that Invictus funds were being directed toward private jets, five-star hotels, and personal travel expenses for Harry and Meghan. Those specific allegations have been disputed. The pattern of sponsors departing has not been disputed because it is happening publicly. For anyone who grew up in Britain with a genuine reverence for the armed forces, the idea that wounded veterans' coverage is being consumed by questions about the couple's personal brand management is not merely disappointing. It is a specific kind of fury that does not go away. And right in the middle of the Invictus turbulence, Harry published a political essay in a left-wing magazine from California on the exact same day his father was doing something very different, very quietly, in North London. What was the essay all about? The essay that nobody believes he actually wrote. On May 14, 2026, King Charles made an unannounced visit to Golders Green, where 2 Jewish men had been stabbed in an anti-Semitic attack the previous month. Charles met the 2 stabbing victims at a Jewish care charity center and spoke with community and religious leaders. Moshe Sheen, who survived a knife to the neck, described the king refusing to let go of his hand.
Majesty met victims of a recent stabbing attack before he made an unannounced visit to Golders Green.
He was very concerned. He didn't let go of my hand. I mean, it was amazing. He is the king, but I felt a genuine warmth and concern, Shine revealed after the emotional meeting. On that exact same day, Harry published a lengthy essay in the New Statesman about anti-Semitism in the United Kingdom. The IB Times UK analysis of the timing was blunt. Critics immediately said it risked looking like an attempt to compete with King Charles as the monarch met Jewish leaders in person. Harry, who has not lived in Britain for 6 years and has no democratic accountability to any British community, was publishing political commentary about a British domestic crisis from his home in California via a left-wing magazine. On the same day, his father was sitting in a community center in North London holding a stabbing victim's hand. The campaign against anti-Semitism labeled it extraordinary that Harry mentioned Israeli actions and referenced devastation in Gaza without acknowledging the Hamas attacks that preceded them. It was also noted that Harry has never previously been a prominent voice on anti-Semitism, and as critics note, his own record is hardly spotless, given the infamous 2005 Nazi costume he wore to a party, which continues to undercut his moral authority on the subject, regardless of how many essays reference it as a past mistake. Dickie Arbiter, former press secretary to the late Queen, used one word for the whole exercise: contrived. He said it was not a coincidence that the essay dropped on the exact day the king was doing quiet, genuine community work on the ground without a byline. Almost nobody who follows Harry closely believes he personally wrote it. The language is too constructed, the arguments too carefully assembled. This is a man who co-wrote a memoir and still managed to make it feel emotionally chaotic and personally raw. The New Statesman piece reads like professional political communications with a very specific two-part agenda. Attach Harry's name to a serious topic to generate relevance, and pull some media oxygen away from Catherine's Italy trip at a moment when she was generating the kind of coverage that neither Harry nor Meghan can currently produce on their own. It didn't work. The contrast it created was the opposite of what appears to have been intended. On one side, a political essay published from California in a left-wing magazine about a country the author hasn't lived in for 6 years. On the other, an elderly king sitting in a community center in North London, holding a stabbing victim's hand and refusing to let go. The king did not issue a statement, he simply showed up, and that distinction is what everything in this story keeps returning to. So, what exactly have the Sussex been trying to achieve, and what do they keep doing wrong compared to Catherine and William's? What Catherine has actually survived. The word effortless gets used about Catherine constantly. It is true, she makes it look effortless. But the effortlessness has cost her more than most people are willing to examine, because the cost is the part that gets left out. Paparazzi camped outside her flat before she even married William. Topless photographs published without her consent in 2012, a violation she and William pursued legally and quietly, without turning it into a public performance of outrage. Years of commentary about her weight, her clothes, her family, her expressions, her marriage. Phone hacking. A decade of speculation that was relentless and frequently cruel and occasionally completely fabricated. And then, during her cancer treatment, social media decided that her absence from public view was suspicious. Conspiracy theories spread across platforms. People who had never met her demanded explanations for her whereabouts while she was managing a cancer diagnosis with her children in the house. CNN confirmed that Catherine revealed her diagnosis after undergoing major abdominal surgery, and announced remission in January 2025. When she did speak publicly, she chose a short video, calm, clear, no drama, no exclusive, no tears for the camera. She thanked her medical team. She explained that she and William had wanted privacy first, especially for the sake of the children, and then she turned the whole thing outward. You are not alone. There was no, feel sorry for me, not, here is my cancer journey. Not, here is the documentary. You are not alone. And then she got back to work. The Mogaz report on the Italy visit quoted her aide directly. Catherine wants to look at other models around the world and really create a global conversation about early childhood development. And this trip may be the first in a series of international visits to places with their own approaches to helping children in their early years. The people who lined the streets of Reggio Emilia and traveled 3 hours and chanted her name from windows were not responding to a campaign. One of the on-the-ground correspondents put it plainly, it's hard to pin down that mystery ingredient. But it was enough to draw crowds to see her in this northern Italian city on what otherwise would have been a low-key fact-finding trip about an early years education project. The mystery ingredient is not mysterious at all. It is 20 years of showing up and meaning it. 20 years of doing the work before the cameras were invited and keeping doing it after they left. 20 years of choosing the cause over the coverage, the community over the content, the person in front of you over the person watching at home. You cannot acquire that through a Netflix deal, or manufacture it in a promotional video, or purchase it with a vow renewal ceremony. You either built it, day by day, year by year, in real rooms with real people, or you didn't. Meghan spent years trying to become the star of the monarchy. Catherine spent those same years becoming the future of it. Stars need an audience to exist. Institutions keep going whether anyone is watching or not. Does Meghan understand what the Italy footage actually showed? And if she does understand it, is it already too late to build what was never built in the first place? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.